Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I am back today. It's 2025. Happy New Year. And I have a beautiful guest with me. We have Kelby Knutt here, who is a love and empowerment coach. And I'm really excited. We're going to dive into, we'll see where it goes, of course, as always, but we're going to dive into trying to help audience and everybody who's listening learn how they can start your own, what is the wording? Healing process. Oh my gosh, I can't even speak straight today. And you can tell it's like brand new year, back to work. But yeah, how to start your own healing process, what's involved, why you want to, what can show up, why this is even matters, right? We're gonna break that down. But first, Kelby, hi, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. It's an honor.
Yay, exciting, exciting. Tell us a little bit about you. Give us your bio. I find guests always giving their own bio does like so much better than I could do. So who are you? What do you do? Who do you
Yeah.
serve?
So I'm a women's love and empowerment coach. I work with women, usually one-on-one, and help them figure out what power looks like to them. Work with a
Mm,
lot of women who are trying to develop their femininity and kind of also repair from anxiety and family dynamics because of my own experience with that work. Um, I I am lucky to have grown up with an aunt who is an energetic healer. She's
mm,
incredible, and she really inspired me to start going down this path of working in this field and helping people in this way. And I'm certified by Vita, which it's how you and I are in contact. A very exciting program that really helped me to shift into this work with excitement and clarity, and graduated this past summer. So I'm just kind of starting out, getting my business going, and it's been a whirlwind doing that.
brilliant. Yeah, I
Yeah, so
love it.
here I am.
I love it. So, so good. What made you kind of say yes, even to the Vita? And for those who are listening, like the Vita journey is the certification is sex, love, and relationship certification with Layla Martin. It's like a year long. Most people take a few years to do it. If they say 650 hours, they're kind of putting very low end. It's more like 1,000. And then plus each of your majors ends up being a few hundred plus hours from there. By now, I'm like, it's a life journey and a continuation of like thousands of hours are going in for my own personal work, for my clients, because I love this work. It's an incredible body of work. So for those who are listening, Layla Martin, that is the work we're talking about. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So what got you into this work? What was your calling? What was your thing that you were like, I need to do this?
Yeah, I always had an interest in spirituality. Thankfully, because of my aunt, she really introduced me into that world and the world of healing. Um, and it's funny because she's the one who really uh, got a fire lit under my butt to get into Vita, because I had been raving about Layla's YouTube channel and some of the practices she has on there, and just how transformational they were. And she was listening, and she actually knew somebody who was in the program in Vita. And so, probably after a few months of me talking about Layla, she goes, you don't really go after what you want. And I really think you should
Mm,
do this. And that was honestly a big moment for me to be told, just so bluntly, a truth, because it was true. It absolutely was true. Um, and so after she said that, I just was like determined to not only take part in Vita, but to reclaim that sense of going after the things that I want. I didn't even know I was capable of that before she really she served me the truth that day.
Turn that light bulb on. It was like,
Yeah.
duh, oh my. It's amazing when
Yes.
people reflect that back to us in such a beautiful, loving way where it's like, do you see your blind spot here? And you're like, oh my gosh, how long has that blind spot been there? I didn't even see it. But that's what
Yeah.
we do. And that's why having coaches to cheer us on and see the blind spots and gently call us into them. Even your aunt doing that for you was beautiful, beautiful,
Mm. Yeah.
powerful. As soon as you said
I
that.
I didn't like it. I'll tell you that. In the moment, I was like, "Oh, no, how could you say that?" And then I sat with it and I just went, "Oh, she's right." I reflected back, yeah, there are so many times where I didn't go after the things that I truly wanted.
I love that. And that's when you say you're helping women now find the places of their power, right? Step into their power, feel their power
Yeah.
of all the places that many of us female identifying humans leave behind because of conditioning, being told how we should show up in the world. We want this, we want that. And it's like, it's very, we don't even think about it. Like we're expected that we want to grow up and to get married and have children, like something like that, that is just actually ingrained and conditioned and expected of us from very, very little. It's interesting. And there's so many other little nuances along that whole path of the way that we show up. So, yeah, I love this. I love that what you're doing and the work you're doing is so, so needed in the world. So,
Mm.
let's break down then why would somebody, why do they even want to start their healing process? Like, what is possible? Let's start there. Because I know for me, I'm like, yeah, 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 I'll get to my healing. Like I said that for years, right? Or I've already done that. I don't need to do anymore. It's over with. And that's kind of a key sign, which I know now, but didn't know then of maybe you haven't done your healing because actually your healing work is an ongoing journey. It's not something that you do 1 week or 1 weekend and it's over and done, or you did 3 months of therapy and it's over and done because, as we're going to go into also, is different things in life, different relationships, different people keep, look, repeatedly keep triggering past wounding that we have had and different vulnerabilities. We're going to go into all the nuances in there too, because there's so much in there too. But let's start off with why. Why would somebody like to do their healing journey? What is possible when we do our healing journey?
Yeah, my first reaction to that in my head is why not? Because I just love to dig and explore. And I feel like um, for me, it's a priority to really always be self-reflecting. But I would say, why do this work? So that life can feel more pleasurable, more easy. For me, I've always felt that there's like a constant war inside of me of
Mm,
voices and opinions and, inner critic, right? This constant chatter that creates a lot of anxiety. And
absolutely.
it was stopping me from going after the things I wanted and even knowing what I wanted. And there was a point in my life, probably in my teens, where I just thought, this is life. Like there's nothing really too exciting about it. I mean, I wasn't I can't say that I was having any kind of, really dark thoughts, but I just was kind of meh, numb, numb. So why do this work? Because you want to feel alive. You want to experience life in in all of its complexity and depth. And and also, I think there's a portion in there about, conquering this fear that we can have of looking at ourselves and not wanting to look at ourselves at our shit, for lack of a
Our
better
shit.
word. Yes.
hmm And we all have it. We all have it. We
Yes.
all have so many things that either we learned in the playground or with our siblings or in our family dynamics or in our relationships. We all have these things. And honestly, I believe that is part of life's journey, is our journey to discover the things that are holding us back, discover the things that have hurt us, discover the ways that we're holding ourselves back, really go in and actually see, hmm, you know, what do I think about that? Am I just blocking myself away from pleasure, from joy, from being truly happy, from feeling free? Am I, is it fear? A lot of the times it will be fear, right? Holding us back from going after what we want. And just to kind of share, what is possible. Oh my gosh, there's so much possible. What happens when you start your healing work? Sure, there's painful moments in the beginning while you're starting to learn how to hold your inner child, and we're going to go into that as well. There are some moments that are hard, but at the same time, not everybody's journey is outright hard. Mine, sure. Okay, let's be honest, it's been hard as fuck. And it's also been so fun. and so liberating. And so I will take all of the muck and the shit and the hard moments and the hard lessons and the hard boundaries that I've needed to hold and express to people in my life where I really don't want to. But I will take all those hard moments, because what happens is when we do have these conversations around boundaries and going after what we want and people don't like it, and we start to say, great, thank you for loving me, and this is my life. When we start to have these conversations and step into our power, what is possible is this beautiful, beautiful life that is alive, right? As you said, that's free, that has the most exquisite joy, that has the most beautiful gratitude and peace and love and safety. And what happens is, I find for me and for my clients, is they're coming back into themselves. They're learning who they are and who they always were. And that's something that we can't get anywhere else. And it is probably the best thing that we can have on this planet, is to actually know who we are, what we're here to do, who we want to be with, what we want to go after. And then from there, create the relationships, the business, the love, romantic relationships, the life that we literally wake up every morning and are smiling and excited to have. Now, does that mean every single day is amazing? No. Life's hard. There's a lot of hard stuff, but the tools that also come out with this healing journey work allow me and everybody in my orbit to hold themselves so much better, so much more grounded, so much more attuned, so much more present. You said the word numb before. Sure, I'm feeling it all. I'm feeling the grief, I'm feeling the heartache, I'm feeling the stress, I'm feeling the pain, but I'm also feeling the joy and the gratitude and the love and the compassion and the aliveness. So if you don't feel one, you don't get to feel the other. And instead, we walk this middle line, which, Mama Gina World likes to call middle C, where you're literally walking this little wee line and you don't feel anything, the pain,
Mm.
the heartbreak, the stress, or the joy. So basically, when you start to do this work, everything opens up. Everything opens up into the most incredible life I could have ever imagined.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. I love everything you said. I just got a little bit of a chill too. And I particularly want to point out the part where nobody can do this for you. And it's good and bad when you're at the start of your journey for somebody to say, nobody can do this for you. It's like, oh, I wanted a thing or a person to come in and save me. But and and so we grasp outside, right? Like what substance, what person, what activity is going to make me feel happy and
Mm,
alive. And the truth is, we can have fun in these experiences. We can travel, we can meet a new lover and all of these things, but ultimately we'll always have to come back inside and do that work for ourselves. And that's actually empowering. That means that you don't have to rely on anybody else, no boyfriend, no girlfriend, no mother, father, grandparent, substance. You can always rely on yourself and offer that unconditional love and support to yourself once you've kind of built that up and developed that presence.
absolutely. Yeah, it all comes back to self. And that is what we coaches in the Vita world, in the sex love relationship coaches and all the different certifications that we specialize in under that umbrella, that is what we're teaching. We're teaching you how to cultivate this deep safety and trust within your own system, that you can hold yourself through whatever life throws at you. And that is a skill, that is a tool set that is priceless. It is out of this world when you can teach then your family members, your partner, your parents, the people that you meet on the street or at the grocery store, how to actually, hold compassion and love for themselves. And we do naturally teach it to the people around us without even knowing it. They just absorb it. And that again is beautiful, really, really powerful. And
Mm.
then for substantial, if people are like, okay, well, what's really possible? Like the most epic relationships, whether you're the most aligned, whether it's your current partner coming on board and you guys going deeper together, or whether that's, you finding a new love, a new partnership, the it's out of this world. Like words do not describe what is actually possible when we do our own healing work.
Mm.
Um, and yes, we step into our power. We step into our power. And that was a really key word that you used earlier. And we step into being the creatrix of our lives. We are not living life being thrown around, going through the motions anymore. It's like, no, this is where we're headed. We get very clear on this is where we're headed. Sure, there's going to be bumps and roadblocks and stuff along the way, but this is where we're going. And we know where we're going because we know what we want. And
Mm,
it's just a beautiful journey. It really, really is.
yeah.
Anything else you want to add to that?
Um, yeah, no, everything you said is spot on. The only thing that came up for me when you're saying, we go on this journey and sometimes there's roadblocks and it's like we're seeking something. And I heard a quote, I forget who said this. I would love to Google it maybe later, but you are what you seek. I believe
Hmm.
it's like a saying. You are what you seek. So if you're seeking, love for myself, I feel that I'm seeking love. Well, I am love already. And
Hmm.
that is very comforting to me. We can do our work and have an end goal, but what about coming back to, oops, who I am now, here and
Yeah.
loving and accepting where I am now and honoring that I am doing this work to unfold and come into love and power.
Hmm. And it will come to you. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we go inwards in that. And so just kind of comparing to the before versus after, if I'm going to give an example, like I too, you talked about earlier, the inner critic. I too was very, very stuck in doubt, in shame, in inner critic, and thinking this must be it. There's nothing else. Like this literally is life. This can't be it. Is this really it? Right? Like, and this is through my 30s, young 30s, I could feel that calling. And I was like, and then it was guilt for why aren't I happy and why aren't I feeling really, really excited? Because like I am married and I have this beautiful house and I have these three children and I should be happy, right? Like there was all of this shame and guilt and stuff stuck into that of having what everybody aspires to have or looks like on the outside, but really not truly being happy on the inside. And it wasn't specifically any of those items. It was actually that I truly wasn't happy on the inside. I hadn't done enough healing work to really get underneath and look at really the core wounds of what was out there and in there inside of me that were actually running my daily life, which we want to go into because these are our inner children. These are our inner critics. These are the messages we received. These are the wounds. Maybe we got yelled at. Maybe something happened between a sibling and we got, pushed as the bad child or the good child, or there's different dynamics that happen, and our inner children start to make these stories. Just if you can think of even a young memory as a child, we're very, very much in an I world. Like we're very, very focused into me, what did I do wrong? I remember, my mom leaving at 5. My parents got divorced, but she moved out to stay with my dad. And I remember thinking these are like examples of what in little children think and how they think. I remember thinking it, laying on my bed, literally praying to God at the time, because that's all I knew to do. Somebody had to help me, and I heard of this God person who probably could help. All right. And I was like praying and crying of, I promise I'll clean my toy room better. I promise I'll be nice to my sister. I promise that I will do better and be a better girl, right? Little things like that, if my mother would come back. So these are little wounds that we decide even internally that there's something wrong with me because of this. And then that ends up going up into, our 20s and our 30s and our 40s and beyond. If we haven't done the healing work, this piece of there's a core wound under there that there's something wrong with me that I'm not lovable, or there's something wrong with me that I don't deserve love, or it's got to be something. And this isn't my adult mind. This is my inner child mind, my 5-year-old mind that made these decisions around this big life transition that was huge and almost like life altering to a 5-year-old, right? So that's an example. Maybe you have an example that you'd like to share. It's totally up to you if you'd like to. But I think it helps people understand what is this inner child and where is it coming from and how does it show up as an adult later?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right that we carry the messages that we receive as a child into our adult life, and it can be problematic, especially with romantic relationships that are so deep, and
Mm,
our unconscious mind actually equates that deep love of a partner with the deep love of a parent. So we can't,
Absolutely.
if we're talking about the unconscious, it actually cannot distinguish the difference. So you're going to have these patterns from your childhood, right? Where you had a belief, I am not good enough, for example, because my mom does this, because my dad does this. And that pattern gets repeated over and over in our mind as a child, right? It actually becomes who I am. I am not good enough. And of course, we carry that into our adult life. We don't just, that doesn't just we don't release that once we turn 18. I wish, but we do not.
Yep.
Um, and so that's a huge part of the healing process, in my opinion, is actually looking at, what do I deeply crave in my relationship that I am not getting, I'm sorry, with my parents? What did I deeply crave with my parents and I did not receive, or I did not feel I received, that I'm now maybe not receiving in my current relationship? And that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your partner, that they're doing anything wrong. It could just be your perception of what's going on, your filter of how your relationship looks. And so, yeah, we actually will see our partner through the lens of our childhood self. I've seen it over and over with my current partner. He's so patient with me and loving, and he's actually become kind of like a father figure for me, for my inner child, my current partner. I think of the song by George Michael. I've been listening to it a lot, Father Figure. And I just think it's such a beautiful, it's like a love letter. I will be there for those times when you feel vulnerable and you're in that childlike state. I will be there for you and I will hold your hand. Of course, we can't always rely on our partner to do that. This is why we do this work inside, so we can actually offer that to our inner child. We can actually
Yeah.
take it's cool, and I'm sure you know this. I'll explain it for the listeners that we have all of these different fragmented parts inside of us. And so we have like this ecosystem of voices and personas and archetypes inside of us. And we can actually take the wounded inner child and we can meet the inner child with our loving energy. So if we can work with like an inner mother, we can work with, you know, that loving part, that part of you that comes out when you see your dog or your cat or your partner and you're just so enamored. You can take that inside of you, that love, and meet your inner child. And there's so much healing to be done there. It's so beautiful. It can
Hmm.
happen inside of you. It's nothing external. This is all inside.
And it shifts so beautifully. It shifts and morphs, and you see things. And a few things came up in there. One of the ones was, yes, we make all these there's all these fragmented parts. And one of the parts that reminded me when you were talking there was, then I remember later in life deciding to be very perfectionist, like very perfection. Oh my gosh, perfectionistic, basically. And I remember thinking, if a page wasn't perfectly written out with no spelling mistakes and no lines through words, like I had to rip it up and rewrite it. And I remember doing that. I don't know what age I started doing that, but we start to take on these, okay, well, I wasn't lovable enough here. So instead, I'm going to make up for it over here. And it's like, I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be good. We make all these good girl conditionings coming at us left, right, and center. It could be from a teacher. It could be from a parent. It could be from an aunt. It could be from a grandmother. It could just be from playing out in the street. So many different times we make these vows and these pieces that become part of our current present day reality that we don't even realize are running the show of our adult life, even in our 30s, in our 40s, in our so forth. So before we know it, when we're coming into relationships at work or at home or with partners or with family, sometimes they say things and it literally triggers us back to our old wounding. And then we actually leave our frontal cortex and we go back into more our primal, into our I need to survive here. I need love, safety, and belonging, and whatever other of my needs I haven't had met. And we actually start from in a very subconscious, unconscious way. We start to go and get those needs met. And it's kind of mind-boggling when you explain it this way, but as soon as you feel it once and you explain it and go through it with a client or with a coach, with a therapist, you kind of go, oh. oh my gosh. And then everything kind of opens up for you, which is cool. It's such deep, powerful work. And something you said about your partner, sure, we don't need to do this work with a partner. We get to do it on our own first. And then there seems to be another level that we get to do with partnership, which is so beautiful and even beyond more powerful in my sense, because I've done so much of my work for years and I'm in a relationship with an amazing partner for the last 18 months, I think we're at ish in now. And same thing, we come into, how do I want to word this? I find that my subconscious and my nervous system is bringing up things that I haven't thought of for years because I feel so safe and I am so held and I'm so loved in this beautiful, beautiful relationship that all of a sudden it's like my inner children that haven't really wanted to be seen yet are coming up and going, okay, but will you love me still with this? Okay, but will you love me still with this? And what about this? It's almost like the last testing phase where, and I just name it. I'm at the point now where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can feel my inner child coming up. And I don't want to tell you this right now, but I'm going to tell you this. So how do you feel about that? Like, and I know he loves me unconditionally. And that is like, I need to share this with you. And it's like sometimes it's totally unconscious where it just comes up and it's like, I have to process some stuff that apparently I missed because I do feel safe enough now to process. And again, I am holding myself, but again, to be met in a container from a partner who deeply loves and cares about you, to also hold the compassion and the acceptance and the love and the space for me to process allows us to deepen into the most epic container again for our relationship because there's such trust and safety between us. It's really cool. Really, really. I hope I'm making
Mm.
sense. Hope I'm
Oh,
making sense.
100%. Yeah, I think it's that awareness of what's going on because something that I think is really important to say is it's from the book Getting the Love You Want. Believe
And
it's
Hendrix,
yes, you're
Hendrix,
right.
right? Yeah, yeah.
And it's his work around imago theory and how we actually choose our partner based on the qualities of our parents. And that's the
And the
good
unmet
and the bad.
needs. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So why do this work? Because if you are in a relationship where you are in love, like you really love this person, you chose them because you subconsciously want to resolve your childhood trauma. And if you're doing that without the awareness or the container that you're talking about, it's a struggle. It's really hard. For me, before I had the awareness, it was like, what's wrong with me? Why am I
Hmm.
so like angry and anxious and avoidant, always wanting to run? What is wrong with me? I have this
Doubting
loving,
myself. Yeah.
yeah, yes. Here I am with this beautiful, loving man, and all I want to do is run and tell him to leave me alone. Essentially,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like don't
I'll
make me
name those
face.
now. Now, if we're in a little bit of a, I'm like, ooh, my inner child's coming up, and I feel that she wants to run upstairs right now and slam the bedroom door, but I'm not going to do that. So I need you to just
Yes.
hold space with me right now. I've hit my max, right? And I get to
Yeah.
process through that. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is a beautiful, it adds this layer of almost like protection around the relationship of, you know, hey, I'm here. My inner child is also here. And, that doesn't mean that I get full reign of like being crazy and taking it out on you. That's not what this is about. It's just about, if I have the awareness that you're coming from an inner child piece, maybe I can shift, you know, my energy a little bit to be a little bit more compassionate or receptive to whatever is going on here, and then we can have a conversation too.
Hmm.
Um,
And sometimes it needs a little space. I find it's whichever one of us is the most grounded has to lock into grounded and hold space. Whichever one's the
mm,
most dysregulated and having a little moment, which it happens both of us all the time.
mm,
Even if both of us are a little triggered on something, it's like, oh, he's more triggered than me right now. Okay, my turn to ground. And I can come back to my stuff after. That's okay. It doesn't mean I put it away. I'll come back to it after. Hold him and then hold myself after. And vice versa. He does the same for me of Okay, you're triggered. Sometimes he'll just name, "Oh, inner Kimmy is out right now." Okay. Yes, she is. Don't
Mhm.
fuck with me right now. I can feel it, and it's right on the cusp and edge, so let's, like, go with it slowly and checking in of what is the need that I have right now, or what were the words that triggered me, or what was something that reminded me from something of the past, and maybe I have to go in and do my own process and hold my inner child myself and just talk to her. Maybe I have to take it to my coach and actually do a full session on it, which, yes, coaches have coaches. We need our own coaches also to reflect back, just like your aunt did for you, of where our blind spots are and where we are maybe, not quite seeing the whole picture, where we're holding ourselves back, which is a lot of the time. So it's very powerful to have our own support. So I think,
Mm.
yeah, this inner child work is so powerful, and so many of us are walking around. I was for years. It took me till my 40s to actually recognize that I even was walking around with my inner child, basically living my life, parenting my children, running my businesses, being in a marriage, running a household, doing all those things. The inner child was doing all of that. And once you start to do that work, you see it all, and you see it in yourself, and sometimes we get caught in it, but for the most part, we start to see our patterns, and we start to see where we are hurting, where we aren't getting our needs met. We start to learn how to create boundaries so that we can get our needs met, so we can go after what we want. We can give ourselves what we want, we can ask for what we want. It's very, very powerful, but I know we wanted to break down the we did the why a lot there, but, like, what's the
Mhm.
how? How does somebody start to do this work? What do you think this work starts at? People are listening like, "Okay, how do I get started? I've obviously got some work to do. I'm hearing this here. What do I do?"
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are already on that wavelength of wanting to heal and understand what that takes. So I think, there's that awareness. That's kind of the first step. Oh, this is possible. It's possible to heal and to not feel, self-hating and critical all the time. And it's possible to look forward to the future. That's something that before I started the healing journey, it was like, I have no future. I'm not even excited. So the first step is that, yeah, that awareness. And, and then it becomes, an assessment of where what isn't working, what is working, and what isn't working. So, in my case, what wasn't working was never choosing myself first, always accommodating other people before I accommodated myself.
Mm,
The whole
mhm.
saying of put your oxygen mask on first before other people. Yeah, I wasn't doing that. I was putting other people's on and suffering. So,
And
yeah.
generally, we do that too so people love us. We're like, "Oh, I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you." And then we feel like we're loved and we're getting some of our needs met, but it's not quite there, right? It's a
Yes.
really it's really oh, it goes so deep and it's so entwined into our core wounding.
Totally,
Putting
totally.
other people's oxygen masks on first, or giving, over giving, always saying yes, always showing up, being the one that, "I got this, I got it, I got it." I remember doing that as a young mom. "No, I don't need any help. I'm perfect. I'm super mom. I can do this. This means I finally have made it in my life and I am good, even though I'm sitting in my room crying with a newborn who's colicky and screaming, and I haven't had sleep for months, and no, I got it." Right? Pretending everything's okay. Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
painful, and we don't have to go about it that way.
we don't. And I think, yeah, having that first step of awareness can really wake us up to, oh, this isn't working. This isn't working anymore. So, putting other people before me in every part of my life, every bucket, it's not working for me. And once you start to do that assessment, I think it could help to sort of divide your life up into these buckets where you have like your health, where is your health working? Where is it not working? Okay, what about career? What's going on there? In my case, I never went after a job that was fulfilling to me, hence what
Mm.
my aunt said to me. So there in my case, it would have been, okay, career is really lacking for me. I'm really not feeling fulfilled there. So let's see what's going on there. And then, romantic relationships, what's happening there? Am I attracting partners that are, not aligned? Are they flaky? In my case, they're ghosting me, and I'm giving them all I have, but they're still ghosting me. Right. And so kind of looking at these different buckets of your life and taking an assessment of what's going on. What do you desire? What do you desire your career bucket to look like? What do you desire your romantic relationships to look like? Kind of getting that dream scenario for
Yeah.
each.
I find so many people in the beginning struggle with that. They're like, oh, I'm so far away from that. I'm so overwhelmed. I got kids hanging off me. I got a job doing this. I got a partner doing this. And sometimes it actually means we actually have to learn some regulation and grounding in the beginning too, to hold ourselves and then to see what's not working. Because sometimes it's like there's so much and it's so hard and there's so many different buckets, right? Then we can look at body, we can look at money, we can look at girlfriends, friendship, if we're looking at talking to women. We can look at spirituality. We can look at sexuality. There's so many places. And you can actually, there's a beautiful little wheel of life kind of thing you can look at too and kind of assess all of these of where are they at on a scale of 1 to 10. And then you can break them down and say, okay, I desire this, this, and this. But sometimes people can't even look at their desires. They can't even get to the desires in the beginning. And this is our job as coaches to help you break it down. It might be some grounding first. It might be some inner child work first. It might be a belief in there with your inner child that you don't deserve anything good. There can be these really stuck beliefs or hidden vows of, I won't be happy anymore because, and you decided it at like 6 or 7 or 8. It could be, there's so many vows and beliefs that are actually in there that we are totally unconscious of that are literally running our life currently, not allowing us to even dream big or even have things that make us happy and feel alive. And there's scarcity mindset in there as well, that, oh, I don't want to take anything from others. And in the meantime, there is enough in this world for us all to have all of this happiness and have nines and tens on every single one of these things in the wheel. There is enough for all of us to have that. So there's so much, there's so many different flavors and places, and everybody's a little bit different on where they're struggling and what they desire. But this is kind of the work that we do, right? And show them. So the first step, of course, is awareness and seeing it. I wanted to note in there to be aware of, you're listening maybe, or you're listening to this little reel on Facebook. You're like, oh, yes, there's something there. Be aware of the next thing that comes up, which is the fear that says, oh, no, you don't need that. Oh, no, right? If you're like, I've already done this work, I've done, like, I'm good. Be aware of, it's actually your resistance and your fear coming up to try and protect you, because it fears that if you go there, you're going to lose something. And again, it's not true, but our fears are very, very powerful at keeping us stuck. Damn, they kept me stuck for 40 years, right? So it really is that strong of a survival mechanism. And we don't want to shame our fears and shame our survival mechanisms. They were there to keep us safe in the best way that we knew how, but eventually they become obsolete. So if you're struggling, if you are depressed, if you are anxious, if you are like, there has to be more, or if you can't call in the relationships or the life or the career or the friends or whatever it is that you are desiring, and you feel like there's something wrong with you, there's not. I promise you, there's not. And this is what we get to actually get to the bottom of underneath in our healing journey and working with our inner children. And this is the work we do. And it's so amazing because there's so much life ahead of us and available to us. It's just,
Yeah.
it's out of our grasp at the moment until we start to go in and do our healing work.
Yes. Yeah. I like that you brought up, we can talk about steps all day, right? But the reality is it looks different for everybody, and there are going to be obstacles, take it from me. I feel like my healing ebbs and flows. There's times where I feel broken again, and there's times where I'm soaring high in the clouds, like, oh my God, everything is beautiful.
This
So
is my life.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want it to seem like, oh, I'm so healed and here I am preaching to
Yeah.
you guys.
It's
Like
not
I
about
have
that.
No, I have a lot. I have days of pain, and that's part of life, I suppose. But I want to just offer something that's been really helpful for me throughout this work. You know, it's such a roller coaster, and it's a beautiful roller coaster. But the fact of the matter is, it has ups and downs, right? So for me, it's been very helpful to anchor in to an energy of love. For me, it's an energy of love. That's what helps me. And I work with Mother Mary energy specifically. I'm not religious. I didn't even grow up religious or anything, but I just, when I sit with Mother Mary energy, I feel what love is, right? So that's like an archetype for me that if I just sit with it, I feel all that Mother Mary is, right? Um, and so she acts as kind of an anchor for me, or her energy, that love energy acts as this anchor that is always here. That's what I'm learning right now, too, is that
Hmm.
I used to think that you'd have to sit in meditation and go, okay, bring in the love. Okay, love, love, love. And I was like, I'm doing it wrong and there's no love. And I realized like love is always there. Love is always there. If you can close your eyes and just put your awareness there on the love, it is there. So I, coming back to, you know, this anchor, whatever that looks like to you, if you have an ancestor that you really were close with, or a past loved one, if you have a, you know, for me, it's a religious figure, I suppose you could call her, an archetype, anything that reminds you of why you're doing this and helps you to feel that sense of calm in any kind of turmoil that might come up in the journey.
Hmm. Absolutely. I love that you shared that. Thank you. Mine has been the goddess archetype since 2017. It wasn't what I expected when I first started reading the original book, Pussy with Mama Gina, because I was going to a retreat. She started talking about the goddess, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like awful. Oh, I can't believe this. Like, so that is my resistance. For those who are listening, like that literally was my resistance of this is crazy. No, I don't need this. And there's no way I'm going. I signed up, but I'm not going, right? Like that literally was my resistance. And that is how strong it is. Um, it's crazy and amazing. And it blows me away every single day to look at the ways that I was protecting myself for years and years and years, but definitely finding an archetype that does support, that does guide. And that's what we do, like through the goddess, through my own sacred sexuality, and really reclaiming my body, my power, my strength, who I am. It has allowed me and cultivating that safety and trust within my body. That is what has allowed me to ground into my truth, to strengthen my intuition, to really deeply trust myself through every single moment, not just what I'm going to do in a day, but where I'm going to move to, what retreat center I'm going to build, like I'm doing currently, right? Like all of these things where we are guiding and it doesn't make sense to the world, but my body is so in alignment and so a full fucking yes that I get to trust my body because I've done the work to feel. And when we feel, we open up to actually feeling it all. Our bodies are brilliant at knowing what is the right next step for us, but we are
Mm.
so knocked down. So yeah, knocked down, numb, disconnected from our bodies because of the life and the world that we live in, that we're not trusting our internal compass these days. And this is also what happens when you do the inner healing journey and learn how to come home in your body is you literally become this compass for yourself, for your life. So yeah, just wanted to share on that of what is possible. There's so much possible. And it's way too much to even explain in this one episode. So continue to binge all the episodes because this is what we've been talking about for the last 6 months of how we can actually tap into this beautiful body and intuitive spirit and archetypes and our power. It's literally our power. To me, it's also coming back to who I was, who I always was, to that little toddler who woke up in the morning and was like, want to play with Barbies now and want to play with my blankets and dollies then and don't want to have a nap. And I'm not eating those peas and I'm not going to sleep. And you can't make me like that inner toddler knew who she was. We just lost ourselves. So to me, it's coming back and finding who we are and creating the most incredible life and finding why we're here, what we're here meant to do, and spreading that beautiful gift that we have, because we all have a unique gift with the world, and going from there. So there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much more. We might have to have a part two. Is there any other pieces on that that you want to add to the how?
Hmm. I think I'm good on that. I think, oh, you know what? I did want to mention that, we do when we start out with healing, we're doing a lot of repair and cleaning up, I suppose you could say. And then we get to a point where we actually can start to build onto this foundation that we've created, right, of healing. And that's when the really fun stuff starts to happen. I've noticed with my clients where our work actually shifts from, okay, we're working with the inner child and we're holding space for her. Oh, wait, now the inner child is doing pretty well and we're going to start working on, sensuality and sexuality and relationships, and we're really going to be able to develop your feminine energy, and oh, the power that comes with that is insane. So, and of course for me, I believe our inner child work is lifelong, and we get to play with the inner child for the entirety of our lives. But there does become a point in our healing, yeah, where we've again, we have this solid foundation of inner work, and then it's like a springboard into actually creating a life that we dream of.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that springboard analogy. And yes, my inner child, even after 8 years of deep work, like doing this inner child work, she still comes up. Like she was up on this weekend. She was up last week. She still comes up, but she comes up for little moments. Little moments. They're like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, and we've moved through it. It's not like before. Sometimes in the beginning, it was like a day or it was longer. It was really heavy. And we've also been talking a lot about working with women here. I also work with men. I also work with couples. We all have our inner children, inner little boys, inner little girls, inner whatever gender you identify with. They're all in there, and we all have it for all genders who are listening. I really wanted to speak to that. Yeah,
Mm.
thank you. It's such important work. It's so powerful, and we all need this. And I can't say enough for it. It's the smile on my face says it all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe this work is, if you want to help humanity or help the world, there's all these little things we can do, right? Um, Recycle and, do our part that way. But for me, it's all about doing our inner work. So a lot of the time we have our mind in somebody else's backyard. What are they doing over there? I don't think that's quite right. Well, what if we brought our awareness into our own backyard
hmm,
and really made that a priority. And then once you do that, the work that you've done spreads, like you mentioned earlier.
yeah,
And I believe this is the way that we're going to actually move humanity forward and into compassion and into this a little bit of a softer energy than we're in right now. Lots of anger and fear coming up right now, understandably. So anyway, this is the work that if you want to change the world, change your world, and
yeah,
then let the butterfly effect do the rest of the work from there.
yeah. Because it does. It's contagious. People are like, "Ooh, what are you doing?" Your kids will absorb it naturally. Your partners will. The people you're surrounded with, your family members. Yeah, yeah. Thank
Mm.
you. Before we end, we're going to put all your links in the show notes as well. But is there anything specific that you have going on right now that you'd like to share just verbally? Please go ahead.
Yeah, my one-on-one coaching is really where I'm focusing right now. So if you're interested in that, you can find me on Instagram and message me there. And other than that, I'm in the Phoenix area and I do hold women's circles every once in a while. I just moved here, so I'm just kind of starting up. But if you are in the area, I would love to hear from you on Instagram as well.
Brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
And just sharing what's going on for me this year. I do have two private coaching spots open for singles or a couple, like two couples, because I do have two spots open. And the other thing that's coming up is, yeah, we're launching Phoenix Rising retreats. So the link will be in the show notes as well. They are going to be live in-person retreats in Northern Ontario starting spring 2025. But right now you can get on the waitlist email. So basically you're getting on the email list to potentially get the emails when it all comes out. And they're going to be small, intimate retreat weekends for couples and singles for starting, yeah, June-ish 2025, still in the plans.
Mm,
But that's going to be really, really exciting work that we're going to be doing. And I'm really looking forward to bringing more intimate, small retreat spaces for weekends where people can get away, be in nature. It's on like 5 acres in cottage country. It's beautiful. We're on the
mm,
lake, crown land beside us. It's so perfect.
mm.
So yeah, and by the time this episode comes out, we have it because I think yeah, 2 days from now we get it. So we're so excited to start this journey. And if you want to get on the email list to be the first people to find out when their retreats are coming out, the link will be in the show notes as well. And then if you'd like to hop on a free call to learn more about private coaching for yourself or for yourself and your partner, you can do that as well. It's a complimentary call to figure that out. And then we go from there. So we'll drop the links for you as well
Mm.
in the show notes. And I'm excited for 2025. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me, Kelby. It's been beautiful talking and sharing and breaking this down for people who are like, okay, what is this work exactly? What are we doing? It's not all about sex and sexuality first. It's about doing the inner work and really learning how to hold yourself, to ground, to regulate, to hold your inner children, your inner teenager, all the different parts of you, because you're complex. You're a complex human. And then learning how to hold yourself for yourself is the next step, and that's powerful. So
Oh, yeah. Hugely.
hugely. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad everybody gets to hear some of these pieces of what's available to them. So thank you.
Thank you. It was lovely, lovely conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, till next time, everyone.